Welcome to SchezzWho, Hampton Roads' top spot for politics. It is Hampton Roads' top spot for politics due to its founder, of course, the channel being created by Andrea Dixon, my awesome wife, who helps a lot of people in the state of Virginia with workforce development, of course, created this channel. So she's amazing and awesome. Definitely want to help out my good friend Miss Ellen, who owns Ellen's Homestyle and Barbecue Express LLC with a location in Virginia Beach, across from Virginia University and 4206 Portsmouth Boulevard in Portsmouth for great food. Also, Mr. Seiko Varner, who is named the Entrepreneur of the Year by Black Brand for this year. Part of that is because of Positive Eyes Incorporated, as you see right there, what he can help you with, as well as his creation of the Hampton Roads Green Book application, which helps you find great black and brown owned businesses in the 757. I also want to shout out Mr. Farley Perkins, an insurance broker at the Farley Perkins Agency. His number is right there. His email is right there. He can help you with insurance needs. And lastly, ELG Sweet Boutique here at 340 High Street in Portsmouth, which is a great place for some sweet treats, confections, shakes, all the good stuff. Now, to make the show even more definitive for being a top spot for politics, you got to like this video. You got to comment on this video, share it around, and subscribe to this channel as we eclipse and move past 100 subscribers. So what I want to do today, I want to begin a series where I ask folks across the country, if possible, their thoughts on the results of the 2024 election. So I'll begin by bringing on Diamond Riddick from the area of, I believe, southeastern Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach and such,
Yes.
aka DJ Good Vibes from the Virginia Beach area. First, how are you right now?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty amped for this show and this series. I like discussing topics like this, so I'm ready to go. I'm glad and thankful that you wanted to join. I also want to mention how thankful I was to be a part of your program the Sunday before the
Yes.
election itself. We had a lot of good topics, part of which we might be able to discuss in the next few minutes.
Yes.
So, how about this? Let's begin with your interest in politics. Where did that really begin?
Just feel like as a kid growing up, that's all my dad watched. So when I would come home from school, that's what I would see on TV. And the older I got, the more interested I got in it. Prior to being on the opposite side, I have been in trouble before. Something so minor and so small. However, it's like when you are on the opposite side, you definitely look at things a little bit different because you see the full process of how things can go.
I definitely want to shout out our first comment of the day by G Lit. Love your background, DJ. Good vibes. So you're going to get the love for that. How about, did you have many thoughts about Donald Trump from his previous term and his previous behavior post 2021?
I did. The main thought is just straight ignorance. And it's just like to me, you can't really have someone who's like that in a very big seat. He also thinks about himself a lot and how he can help people around just him, but that are only on his level. So it's like, where does that leave the rest of the people? And for me, to run a country, you just can't be selfish. You have to be selfless, because majority of your job is to try to help other people.
All right. All right. Now, let's circle back to some of his opponents. What were your thoughts on Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris?
So when Hillary ran, I want to say I was only about 18 maybe. I voted in all my elections. My thought on Hillary is I do also think she was a great candidate, but again, we were still stuck in the position of not wanting a woman to run the world. Times have definitely changed from now, to then, and we see a lot more women that are running businesses and running operations and doing the things that men were used to doing. So I think as far as my thoughts on the both of them, they're great candidates because they actually have a background in what they're doing. Not just they operated a couple businesses and now they feel like they can operate the US. Um, Especially for Kamala. When I look at her background, like everybody has said all over every platform, it's just unbelievable because she's literally worked in all three branches. So when you work in all three branches, or even if you work in something that pertains to what you're about to go do, it builds you for that. I just feel like with him, he didn't have any building, but it's not even really a feeling. It's more of it's right there on paper. So yes.
And how about the one of the three who was able to beat him, Joe Biden?
I feel like Joe Biden definitely won because he was male. He states some of the same issues that we all talk about, all three of them talk about, and the Democratic Party itself talks about. So the only difference that all of us can see is that he's a male. He's also worked in politics as well. So it's like, if we're looking at everybody's, resumes, everybody's pretty much aligning except for him. And the only difference between him and the other two mates were that they were women.
Do you feel that the topics that you were able to bring to us, the guest on your program,
Mhm.
played out on election night?
No, I definitely thought, well, I feel like we were all thinking the same things, if you know what I'm saying here, but we didn't know where it was going to go. And she did give us that piece of hope that, it almost bought delusion in a sort, because it's almost like she made it thus far. We know you can make it to the end, but it's like they're not going to let it happen that easy. So I thought to myself about the questions we asked, and I'm like, she probably could have answered all of those questions for sure. But if we would have left it to our opponent, we would have got no answer. And like I said, for me, that's just not, personally, I just look, all I can say is you can just shrug your shoulders because it's nothing we can necessarily do in this sort. We're all just kind of like confused. So yeah. Um I would say in a sort though, when it came to what I'm seeing now to the election, which is the thing that I've been seeing about people Googling the tariffs and people Googling, can I change my vote? And I'm just like, no, that's just, it's unfortunate because we wish we would have did this research before now. And this is all we were asking people to do, was to just go do their research. Nobody was pushing you to vote for nobody. We just wanted you to research so that way you
There
would be
were
prepared when you
significant
vote.
searches in the days leading up to the election, A, for who was running,
Uh-huh.
and B, if Joe Biden was still on the ticket, which shows you there were a lot of people who were just checked out even
Yeah,
until
they're
the last minute.
behind.
Mhm. Now, I had a comment about real estate interest and influence driving voter behavior, and sort of
Yes.
not the other way around. I think I turned that around on one of your questions from the program. And I think this is another example where that this is kind of played out in Hampton Roads. Here we go. In Chesapeake, as noted, as being a Republican city, it went
Hmm.
for Kamala Harris and Tim Kaine at the top of the ticket. Then Republicans West, Ritter, and Jeffries won the mayor and council seats. In Virginia Beach, Harris and Tim Kaine won again. Then, even with other Republican candidates backed by big real estate interest who were against Bobby Dyer, he still won. And he was the biggest backed by the real estate developers. So was Michael Bellucci and Rosemary Wilson, Cash Jackson Green, and Stacey Cummings, all heavily invested from the real estate interests. And they all won, all Republicans. But at the top of the ticket, people who vote, namely, went for Kamala Harris and Tim Kaine. So it
Wow.
definitely played a fact, but it was like the reverse image of it.
Yes. And that is interesting. But I do feel like a lot of people definitely just wanted to make sure that he wasn't the one that was in the house itself. When it comes back down to like their local, I feel like people still tend to vote with the party that they feel like they're supposed to vote with. I feel like when it came down to anything outside of the main election, the federal election, which is between Kamala and Trump, people probably were like, okay, I'm just going to go with what I'm used to going with, because they're not looking at them as the problem. They're looking at the main sole person as the problem here. So they're going to go with the party to me that they would typically go with. And that's just kind of more like a human psychology thing. I think that with the real estate, though, I feel like if somebody tells me they're going to raise tariffs I just feel like taxes are going to raise all over the board. If you think about it, we're going to keep building stuff, so that means stuff is going to continue to raise in price. If
Mhm.
we're buying more land and the governments continue to buy land and build things around us, we are going to have to, of course, increase the taxes on the mortgages. That's just things that come with, purchasing things or buying a home. But I do. I don't think people like to be surprised. And I feel like if we have that conversation when we're buying our house, hey, this is what's going to happen. Even when government officials may change, there may be something as a relief that they could do, but potential they may increase. So those are just things I feel like when purchasing a house, you just need to be aware of so you can be prepared and have that stuff saved up. So just in case your taxes increasing, maybe what you're making at work isn't necessarily covering it. At least you're prepared for that time framing. And with the ruling, like you said, it for it being backwards is is actually kind of insane. I'm almost confused. I think we're, like I said, all confused at this point because none of the numbers seem to add up.
Mhm. Um, how much thought do you have about the results of those local elections? Because going forward, I think we're all going to be heavily interested in politics, probably more so than we were in the past year, which is saying something because that was probably one of the biggest years of our collective interest into politics.
Correct.
And now it's going to be so much deeper. But politics is as much local as anything else. So, what are your thoughts locally right about now?
Honestly, I was kind of disappointed when I did see Miss Wooten didn't win because I've seen that she's physically been out here and with the people. Now I can't say that for the other party members that may have been doing the same thing because I wasn't necessarily 10 times involved as I should have been. Um, but I was kind of definitely super disappointed when I seen that. Um, I think going forward, we definitely need to pay attention more and actually participate in these things, but not do it when it's time to elect officials, because we're waiting too late at that point. At that point, nobody's even listening. Their minds are either made up or they just don't care enough to actually pay attention and listen. So that goes for myself, because even then, I could have been more self educated about my local. I moved from Chesapeake, and ever since then, I just seem to forget about my local election. But I do know how important it is because that's me not doing my job. So, um, yeah. I just wish that in a sort there was a way for, I want to say, to get more educated in a sort, but a way that we could maybe get more information out to the public about what they need to do so that way they can get the education. Some people may not have access to a phone or resources to a computer or whatever they need to get to it, but it needs to be heard some way, shape, or form, and people definitely need to participate if they want to see changes. And that definitely starts right here with the local. I mean, the president, yes, is one thing, but if you know how civics works, everybody has to go through somebody to get something done.
Exactly. And I want to follow up on your delving into how community based we can be by going into 25. Do you at least want to feel more in touch with your community and definitely community groups who
Hmm.
are going to be on the front lines reacting to this new administration and new
Yes.
state government because we're going to have state elections in 2025 and local elections too. I already have a few in mind, but are you like I need to research groups with which I need to join, and which type
Yes.
of groups would you like to join?
See, that is exactly what I need to do. I definitely want to join groups that align with my values itself, because it's kind of hard to represent anything when they don't actually align with anything that you have going on. I definitely look for a group that caters to the creative community in a sort, because that's where I work at, as well as small business owners. Some people forget that they're out there. Definitely don't forget us. We definitely want to be on someone's plan, someone's map. I definitely look for, a group that is open-minded. So you want to be around people that are open-minded, and especially when it comes to politics, there's multiple ways to solve different problems. So yeah, that's the type of things I'm looking for when I do plan to go out here and get the seeking, which is going to definitely be soon. Um, yes, I'm going to be looking soon. I'm definitely going to do a lot more research though, because local. it can get a little sticky because you have different parts of local. But like I said, I'm from Virginia Beach at this point, so Virginia Beach is where I have to stand. Now, I do know that they had split things up in, I believe, districts. So that is one of the things I'm going to have to learn about here. Um, that may be a little different from where I came from.
Mhm. And hopefully, with the new, I guess, continuance of a strong Republican-led city council, that the next 4 years they don't take away the district voting system through continued legal efforts, which I know they've been trying to do. Um, I, Personally, because I like districts. But that'll be something that, with your effort being up and more into the community and putting your voice in front of it, that might help
Hmm.
grow the counter aspect to that. And for instance, tonight at Poolside Cooking Cafe, which is at 3877 Holland Road in Virginia Beach at 7 p.m., the Virginia Beach NAACP is going to meet specifically about um, trying to preserve these districts, 10-to-1 district system.
Wow.
So I would
Okay.
encourage you to go out to that. I would like to, but I live in Portsmouth, so I don't know if I'll be able to get out to that, especially because my West Haven neighborhood civic league is tonight at 7 at the same time. So it's going to be hard to be in multiple places at once. But I might suggest that to you. Perhaps go out there to meet a couple people specifically in that group, because there is the Virginia Beach branch of the NAACP. I'm also part of the community action team, the Battle Cats, that good friend of ours, Mr. Seiko Varner, mentioned on your
Hmm.
event this past Sunday. And we're always looking to bring more people in, because our task is specifically to watch the local electeds and their votes to make sure that they are following an improvement of the community. So I'll get you.
Hmm. That's
How about the
perfect.
next time we meet up for the community action team, which is largely on Zooms? Um, we'll invite you onto that, and you can get
Absolutely.
involved with that. That would be great. Of course, we also have the local parties. There is a Hampton Roads Libertarian Party. There is the Virginia Beach Democratic Committee, which I still get emails from, even though I'm no longer a member. You have to re-up every couple of years. And of course, there's a Republican committee too. So whatever your interests align with, I would also encourage you, if your interest is to grow in political thought locally, look them all
Yes.
up. Pick the one that fits you the best and go to that, which will lead me to, I guess, my last base question on this is, what would be next for you as you maneuver through a Trump presidency with all the markers of worse things happening than 2017 to 2021?
Um,
You can shout out your own stuff too, because you are DJ Good Vibes. So,
yes, yes, yes. Me as DJ Good Vibes, I will continue to DJ, and at least provide us some type of calming and peace during this time together. And hopefully this music can at least bring us some form of unity. Also own a studio, Only Vibe Studios. Studios located in Virginia Beach. Photography, videography, podcast. And as far as in Trump goes for the future for all of us, I would just say that, he's the president, he's not God. So let's all just pray and hope that we get through, the next 4 years in a nice, calm environment. Not saying that's what that's going to be. I think things like January 6th, I believe that was the date. Um, I believe that was the date, Comrade. Correct me if I'm incorrect.
January 6th, 2021, indeed.
Yes, when they did their thing at the Capitol. I just, hope that we don't have to worry about that becoming like a occurrence more than just there. We shouldn't have it happen at all, point blank period, but we're definitely praying that something like that doesn't happen again. Um so things like that are really the things that worry most of us in the US that voted maybe on another party or even just voted against him because of, like I said earlier, the ignorance and the things and the comments that have been said about other minority groups. I hope that, you know, it doesn't start wildfires, is the thing. Um, and I hope that we all learn from this. My main thing is I hope we all learn from this, and I can tell that um, people are kind of weary of their decision. The first time I remember when he won, it was like people were so excited they were outside, jumping up and down, screaming and hollering. But this time around, it's almost like everybody just sighed. Like it just felt dark. But nobody, the people that voted for him couldn't even tell you, why they voted for him. They just know that they didn't want to vote for her.
Mhm.
So I just think going forward, we need to make the right choices morally, the right choices that benefit our families, and definitely just be selfless. There's people that are going to be behind us. Someday we're not going to be here, but your grandson, your great, 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 great grandson, we're voting for them. We're not voting at this point, for ourselves as much anymore as we're voting for them. So when we put our freedom on the line, we put everybody's freedom on the line when we put that one vote in. That's what everybody has to remember. Every time they go to Mark, they're like, I got to think about my grandma, my cousin, my sister. Everybody needs to be a thought in your head when you go to put that bubble in. Because once you submit it, just like those Google questions, everybody's asking, can I take my vote back? No, you
Can't.
can't.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's one of those one and done. But one thing I did want to say about Virginia Beach was I do cross my fingers and hope that someday they decide to make the light rail come thus far.
Mhm.
Hopefully, that's a day that we have some time to sit down and talk about the light rail because I
Yeah.
see so many potential things that could be great if they just did that. Within the cities being able to go back and forth, that would be money for both cities if you think about it. Um, yeah, because I live in
You have
Virginia Beach, but I
good
live on
thoughts on that.
borderline.
How about one day I'll bring you back on and specifically talk
Absolutely.
about policies like that. But as for
Yes.
now, I definitely want to thank you for joining me, being the first on this series of just giving us the reactions to the election itself. Thank you for coming on to SchezzWho, and I hope you have a great afternoon time.
Thank you, Mr. Conrad. I'll talk to you soon.
Indeed. Have a great one. Now, folks, thank you, the viewer, for watching this show. Remember to share it around and subscribe to SchezzWho. I'm going to throw that right there. I need you to like the episode, subscribe to this channel, come back for the next one. You guys have a great one yourself.